Hello everyone, and welcome to this video that is designed to support your research treasure hunt this week. So this video is going to supplement the independent work that you're going to be doing in between this week's PBL workshop and next week. So you've been given the learning outcome, what are squatters' rights and do they have any legal basis? And as part of this exercise, you're going to be asked to access a number of different databases and carry out some of your own independent legal research. So this video is going to help you locate some of these databases and also give you some tips in navigating these databases as well. So I will start by sharing my screen with you all. So the first place that you're asked to locate is Trove, which is essentially the place that houses all of the online textbooks that we ask you to use. So to access Trove, you bring up your search, type it into the search bar, and generally it's the third result down. So yeah, there's number 3 here. So we'll just log on. It may ask you to input your details. It's not asking me today because I'm on campus. Now this is the landing page that we end up on when we go through your search. It's not really the most helpful landing page. It's essentially we're just presented with a list of books on Trove, which isn't necessarily going to be the most useful. But what we can see at the top here is a search bar. If I just move myself up, we can just see a search bar here. Now, I'm not going to put in a search term for the learning outcome you're going to be looking at, because that's something that you're going to do yourselves. But I will pick my own topic for these purposes. So let's say I want to find out something about the subject of vicarious liability. That's not something that you come and look at until the second year. But if I did, I might start off by inputting vicarious liability in the search bar. So let's see what that brings up. Okay, so what we're presented with here is a list of chapters from textbooks. Now, this is helpful. This has given us an indication that actually what we're probably going to be needing is a taught textbook. But we don't necessarily always know that our search has brought up the most relevant chapter. Now, I think these are the most relevant chapters in each, in this particular case, given that this is the chapter title. That's not always going to be true for your searches. And also, the way that they're listed, we've got something here from 2016, and that's a business law textbook, so that might not be the most useful for us. Then we've got a taught textbook here that's from 2024, so that may be of more use. But at least what it has told us is we're probably looking for a taught text. So I'm just going to clear my search here and just show you another way to kind of get to the same place. And in many cases, this will be the more efficient way of actually locating information. So we know we're working with taught. So if we just head down here, we can see that these are the subjects. We can filter by subject. So what we've got 307 chapters on taught. That's quite a lot to be filtering through. So I would also then filter, so we go down from 307 and then down to 14 if we filter by format, and head to books. Now, the reason why I think this is really useful is because not all textbooks will work for everybody. Now, it might be that you like a textbook that really focuses on case law. It might be that you want a textbook that gives you more of an introductory feel to the subject. And this way of finding information allows you to determine which textbook works best for you. So if I just have a little flick through the taught textbooks that are available, oops, I can see, I can see here that actually what works for me, I quite like Carol Brennan's text. And that's a text that's from 2024, so we know that that's going to be pretty up to date. So if we click on Taught Law Directions, it's 9th edition. And then what we're brought to is the contents page. And we can see here that Carol has a chapter on vicarious liability, so that's chapter 9. So if we just flick to that, and then I would then have a read of this textbook and see if this was one that worked well for me. So let's say I'm having a read of the text, and what I can see, I've found a case here, which is Barclays Bank versus various claimants from 2020. So that might be a useful case for me to think about. So if I just do a search here, and let's see if I can get the citation from that case. I'm probably going to find that in the footnotes, or I found it here. So we've got Barclays Bank versus various claimants, 2020 in the UK Supreme Court, 13. So I might then decide, actually, this is a really important case. We can see here it's listed in the key cases. This might be really important for me to have a look at. So how do I go about then finding more information about this case? Well, then I've got a choice between two different databases. I can use Westlaw or I can use LexisLibrary. Now, both of these tend to do the same thing in terms of finding case law and legislation. But they also have a series of books and of journals that we also subscribe to. And what I may choose one or the other, depending on what I need, depending on whether there's a particular book or a particular journal on one of the databases. But for today, we'll just stick with Westlaw. And there'll be time in due course for you to kind of have a go at playing around with Lexis as well. So how I access Westlaw, again, is through your search. So if I bring up Westlaw this way, then this is the first thing that comes up. So it's asking me to log in here. So when we're brought onto Westlaw, we've got kind of a much nicer landing page. So you've got an all search area where you can search all content. That's kind of a search area I would try and avoid where possible. We can browse by topic, but generally where I would advise kind of navigating through Westlaw is through these top searches. So we know we want to find this case, Barclays Bank and various claimants. So we want to find a case, we'll head to cases and we'll head to cases search. Now there's again a variety of ways that we can do a search. So we want to find Barclays Bank and various claimants. So you would then think the first place to start would be searching the parties' names. So let's try Barclays Bank. And what we can see is a variety of things come up here. So if I put in Barclays Bank versus various claimants, which is as it's cited in the chapter, we are then brought up with the case here. But note that actually there is a slight difference between what is brought up on Westlaw and what is on the textbook. This is Barclays Bank PLC and various claimants, but we're missing the PLC here. And thankfully this time around, Westlaw has been able to recognise that it's still the same case, despite the fact that we were missing the PLC. But Westlaw doesn't always recognise that. So searching the parties' names on their own might not always be enough. So what I tend to find is kind of the safest way to search and know we're getting the right thing is through the citation. So this here that we're working with is the neutral citation. Now, not all cases will have these, and you can instead use the law report instead. But we can use the neutral citation here for that purpose. So we just put it in the second box. And what we're brought up with, hopefully, let's see when it loads, we're brought up with the same case. And we can see here, it's a significant case. It's got positive or neutral judicial consideration. So let's head here. We've got head onto the case analysis here. So what you brought up with here is you've got a summary of the case digest. Now, this is a useful starting point. We've got an abstract here too, and this will just tell us a bit about the case. Is it relevant for our purposes? But the great thing about the case analysis section here is that then we can look for the law reports. So we can see here where it's being reported. So it's brought us up to 2020 AC 973. So this is where it's been reported. And we, where possible, will tend to read the law report in full if we think it's relevant. If I just head back to the case analysis itself for just a moment. We can then head down to these sections here. So we've got primary references. So we can look at key cases that have cited this case and key cases that this case cites, as well as legislation. So we can then kind of go on a bit of a trail from there. So we may find subsequent cases from here, which is really, really important to look at. And we can also find commentary references. So let's say that we want to find a particular journal article that talks about this case. We want to kind of get more of a critical understanding of the law. We can then click on journal articles. Here we go. Let's bring us up to books. So we've got journal articles here. So we've got an article called Fostering and Vicarious Liability, which we've got the full text for. And then we've got Vicarious Liability on the Move again. Again, we've got the full text for this. It might be that we don't have the full subscription to a particular text that you want access to. And then it's worth finding out a little bit more about the article. So let's say with this one, we don't actually have the full text. We only have the abstract for it. We know it's written by Ross Fletcher. We know it's written in the New Law Journal, which we do have a subscription to at the university. And we know the title is Liability, Delivering the Goods. So that would then be a case of searching those things into your search. And then that would we would be able to access that article, hopefully, on another database. So hopefully this has given you a bit of a starting point for finding information and will give you a hand with your research treasure hunt. If you have any problems along the way, please feel free to drop me an email and I will do my best to answer that where possible. And the answers to the questions that you're going to be answering will be published on the VLE site next Thursday. Good luck with everything, and I will see you next week.